Good evening. Good evening. All right. I think I got over here on both of them. All right. So here's Instagram and here's Facebook and YouTube. All right. Good evening. I hope everyone's doing well on tonight. You're going to hear, well, you shouldn't hear. Let me know if you can or if you can hear the noise in the background. I'm using a piece of technology that should be canceling out the noise. Got a couple, four people over here on IG. What's up, y'all? Tonight I'm talking about how did I get here. That is what tonight is about, and it's about my mental health journey. Recently, I was on Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant's podcast platform. Go back and take a look at it and pass it on to somebody else. The title of it is Bipolar with the Bible, bipolar with the Bible. And so I've got unfortunately, a sordid history of mental illness or mental health. I have this big thing. Y'all wait a minute. Let me explain this. I have this big thing about saying I have anything. Now my journey proves a whole bunch, and in the public space and normal vernacular is mental illness. I have mental illness. I just don't want to say that. I'm not going to claim anything that that doesn't have my name on it. And I'm talking about the things of God because there's power in your tongue. Yep, that's right, Terrence. Bipolar with the Bible. That's exactly right. Are y'all able to hear me? Are y'all able to hear me? I wanted to go and launch in on tonight. Um, can you hear anything in the background, any noise or music or whatever? If so, let me know. I'll try to speak even more loudly. All right. So every Monday night, I'm going to start doing this mental health Mondays around this time. And then on Thursday night, my wife and I do Thriving Thursday. And so they are one and apart, but yet they're different and the same. Fight, win, survive. What's up, Stephen? So specifically, it'll be me on Monday nights. Maybe occasionally she'll join me, but I'm talking about mental health issues and even how it affects Black people and Black men differently than any other demographic. And then on Thursdays, we're talking about, let's just say other areas. Go back and watch this past Thursday, and you'll see exactly what I mean. All right, so looks like we're cooking with grease. I got my audiences on. Again, welcome to everybody. So my history is not one that I like, but is one that God has given me a grace for, that He's allowed me to be able to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and fear no evil. 25 years have I battled and wrestled with the state of my mental wellness, mental health. It started off just as a part I was blaming on my temperament, and as I continued to live, as I continued to see areas dysregulated with a pattern, as I continued to feel that thing on the inside. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You know exactly what I'm meaning. I start feeling that thing on the inside. Whenever I could not balance or reconcile what was going on with the inside with what I was seeing through my eyes and what I was actually seeing other people see. I continued to seek out help, and I'll tell you the place that it struck the closest, the most, and the hardest was in my marriage. But thank God for an incredible wife. Next to Jesus, I owe her everything. God told me a while back that as long as I take care of her, He'd take care of me. I'm going to die. I'm going to spend my last waking hours, breaths, minutes, moments trying to make that woman happy. She is and has been an amazing and incredible wife, but it has severely affected and damaged uh, areas in my family that man, I hate to see that they've paid the price. I hope that you would share this out, tag somebody. I want you to join the conversation, hear the conversation, and see if there's anything that resonates with you personally, or if there's anything that you think someone in your family could hear or needs to hear. I know that can be hard to say, hey, look, to somebody who has a struggle. hey, look, I think you should hear this. But then again, God gives a grace to everything. So how did I get here? Well, I grew up son of a preacher, and I really believe that. And by the way, this is just an introduction to who I am and what I'm talking about. But I grew up as a son of a preacher. I'm a preacher myself, and the absence of my father from the house did something to me. Now, I didn't know about what happened and what it was doing until later on in life, but it did something to me. There was a sense of trauma in his absence. There was some trauma in his absence. I'll give you one example. So at 13, 12, 13, 14, something goes bump in the middle of the night. I'm the one getting up to get the gun because dad wasn't there. My father traveled 46, 47 weeks out of the year. And that was old school. That's when revivals with 5 or 6 nights, it'd start on a Sunday night, Monday night. Dad would fly home Saturday morning. He'd spend Saturday getting ready for Sunday. And then it would happen again. He was never home. And he told me something that I really couldn't live up to. He didn't say it in any kind of malicious way, but he told me, he said, you're the man of the house when I'm not here. You're the man of the house when I'm not here. A kid that's 12, 13, or 14 years old never would have, did, wouldn't have the ability, the emotional maturity, the physical maturity, the mental maturity in order to be able to be a surrogate man of the house. I knew exactly what dad meant. But as a kid, that was a responsibility that I shouldn't have been charged with. And so when I met my wife, one of the things that stood out, besides my extraordinarily uh, debonair features, the one thing that stood out was my maturity. She said, "You're so mature." I think I met Alicia in '95, and so I was 22 when I met her. She says most men your age are not thinking about and not focused on their future as you are. There's a whole bunch more. She said the guys 22, don't do or aren't caught up in. But that was the manifestation. So stay with me now. That was the manifestation of a responsibility that I had been given at 12, 13, 14 years old to be in a place of responsibility. So I grew up missing this developmental. There's 7 developmental packages in our emotions that everyone should matriculate through. That 1, 2 package there in the middle caused me to build a house that would never have been given a certificate of occupancy because they were underdeveloped and it was dangerous. So what looked like responsible, what looked like being one who manages responsibility well, really was going to erupt and have the house of cards fall. And from that point on, as a kid, and then my parents got divorced, and it continued. And it wasn't until later in life that I realized what was going on, or what was happening, or what I'd even been even I had been exposed to. Now, um but never forget, God never wastes pain, and God never wastes pleasure. Why don't you type that? God never wastes pain, and God never wastes pleasure. Let me say it one more time. I'm waiting for somebody to drop it in there. God never wastes pain, and God never wastes pleasure. What that means is that pain can be something that corrects us. And that's what mental health issues did for me. It got hard to feel the way I was feeling, to be able to make it. Life is starting to come apart. My marriage is now being affected. I had 3 sabbaticals while I was in full time ministry, one ending me up in Seattle, Washington for a 28-day inpatient treatment. That was painful. That was hard. But God was using pain to make me go deeper for somebody like you, for somebody like who that can identify, not be sympathetic towards you, but empathize with you because I've been there. I've been there. I was talking to someone earlier today, and their spouse has just suddenly flipped out. They've been together, they've been married 6 years, and then they have been together another amount of time. I don't know by doing math and trying to figure that thing out. I want to protect anonymity, sanitize as much as possible. And so one of the spouse just suddenly wigged out and start doing some wild, crazy things and saying some stuff after being committed to them. It just wasn't becoming the way that he was acting and or she was acting. um, it wasn't making sense, and I got it. I got it. They were being blamed with how they were feeling from the other person. I just said that in a very convoluted way. Let me try that again. The spouse who was not dealing with mental issue was being blamed by the spouse who has mental issue. And it's not making sense, but I understand it because I've been there. I know what the torture feels like. And that's one more layer I want to add here. And I don't plan on belaboring the point. Thank you so very much, Buford Harbin. This is good Monday evening groceries, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And Andre, I'm glad that you saw the podcast. Anybody else that hasn't seen the podcast that Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant did, as I was his guest, called Bipolar and the Bible, go and check it out. Yes, thank you, Farah, for dropping that there. God never wastes pain, and God never waste pleasure. So let me put a coupling event beside it. So I'm doing the work. I'm putting in. I'm going to the doctor, to the psychiatrist, which I told you ended up in an inpatient treatment. But I wasn't just taking medicines. And one night on one of these mental health, I already got 13 already planned out. So I want you to put this on your calendar for every Monday. We'll be here from Mental Health Monday, and every Thursday, it'll be Thriving Thursday. I wasn't just seeing my doctors, I wasn't just taking my medicine, but I was doing the deep work. I was willing to go to a place that was hurtful, that was painful, that I had horrible and horrid memories around. I was doing the work. I was moving towards into a space of healing myself on the inside. And you know what? Black men, yeah, honest, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I think there is a demographic, there's an age of black men that will not deal with their stuff. They just aren't gonna do it. They're going to be stoic because they grew up, the man provides and the woman, pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen. Please, ladies, I'm not being demeaning. I'm just saying that was a mindset of what that is a mindset of what some men um, have. But then there's this other side. I'm going to say salvageable side, that they're young brothers, young women, but they're young brothers who are upwardly mobile. They have their degrees. They are respected in their field, in their industry. They're making money. They know a little bit about the streets. Some of them do, but yet still, life isn't scratching them where they're itching. They got the cars. They got the lineup of women. All that kind of stuff. And here's the thing: church hasn't been too helpful for these segments of believers, and particularly black men. It hasn't been helpful because the black preacher can be seen as having an ulterior motive, when that's not, first of all, that's not all black preachers, is not me. But then could it also be something that the enemy wants us to believe that is not true? But I've been sent to go and grab folk from where they are and to bring them to where God is. So I want you to understand a couple of things. As I'm introducing myself, I've done the work, probably 1,200, 1,300 hours of therapy and counseling. I've done the work. I've gone before God. I've wrestled with, and another episode that we have coming is faith and prescriptions. So do I do this and don't do this? Do I do this and not do this? We're going to have that kind of conversation because mental illness and mental health, mental wellness, it is at a place that we all have to understand and be able to live with and sit with people that are plagued by this stuff. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Just type amen, or say it, brother, or that's right, king, whatever it might be. Let me know that you're hearing what it is that I'm saying. And that's my job. How'd I get here? I went through all my stuff, but what's my purpose? My purpose is to help you or somebody that traverse this path. I'm a thrive coach. That's what I call myself, a thrive coach. I'm a thrive coach. Thank you, Farah. Thank you, John. John, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much for dropping that there in that chat. I'm a thrive coach. And let me just give you this, and before I get ready to sign off, there was one person, one client. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and drop this. There we go. All right. You want to get a 15-minute session with me? I'd love to, it's free, by the way. I'd love to talk to you. So there's my booking calendar. And if we are matched, then that would be great. If not, God bless you. I'll do whatever I can to help you get to a place that you can thrive. All right. So I lost my train of thought. Somebody tell me what was the last thing I was saying. You can see I'm coming straight off the dome. Okay, yeah, I remember. So there was this one mother who came to me in tears. Her child was suffering with mental illness, and they ended up having to resort to psychiatric care. They did an intervention. They got their son on medicine, and he stopped taking the medicine and started spiraling and going the other direction. And it was tearing the family up, not only the mom, but the dad. And it's horrible to watch a loved one struggle. And even it's more horrible when you're watching the loved one struggle and they look at you like, why are you looking at me at that? But why are you looking at me like that? Oh, it is painful. Immediately, I saw my wife. Immediately, I could see myself in their shoes. So this is what I told her. I said, I would love to have a chance to talk to them. But if not, I can help you and your community thrive. I can help you put together a plan, a strategic plan to bring life around this young man. And I can create or help you in a particular and specific prayer target. I want to say this and then I'm going to punctuate it. I'm going to be out of here. I don't know how long I've been here. 17 minutes. All right. I have learned so much, not just from being exposed in the mental wellness space and that personal traverse, but I've learned so many tools and resources and spiritual warfare techniques. And that's why I said earlier that God doesn't waste pain. And that's too much of a story to start talking about. But I know I can help people that want to be helped. I know I can be life giving to people that want to be helped. My heart is like beating fast. It is, it's exciting and it's also hopeful, but there's a bit of sadness there because I think that some people will just continue to move on, keep scrolling, or do something else other than give themselves a look on the inside. Man, I wish when I was, when Alicia and I got married, that was in 98. I was born in 72. So I was about to be 26. I was 25. It was March of 1998. I'm 25 years old. It was 9 months into our marriage that she got pregnant. And I never will forget our first Christmas. She said something to me. I don't remember what it was, but it hit a trigger. And that was it. I remember I left her, left the house. We're in an apartment then, but I left our home, and I loved her so much until I went to go buy her Christmas present. I went to the mall. I know I wasn't getting that Christmas, but I bought her Christmas present. Do you see the conflict that's there? To be so in love with a woman, a person, so passionate, but to have that same person sometimes feel like an enemy, but then to be so in love and so committed, speaking about myself, until even in my anger, I go and buy her something for Christmas. That was the first time, the earliest experience I can remember with mental wellness. I wish I'd had somebody when I was 25 that could have come alongside of me, that I could have called, that would have been able to identify instead of some old, I'm gonna say it. Some folk may not like it, but I hope you get it. Some old white man to help me through what I've gone through that is disconnected or not even aware of what it means to be a Black man in America, not only today, but even back then. Now, I'm not one of the ones that thinks that, all white folk are demonized. No, that is not the case. I've been educated in PWIs my entire life, from my upbringing for every level to college to seminary. It's been PWI. But there's this cloud, this ignorance, that's what it is. I'm not going to say it's a blind, but there's this ignorance that white America just doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand. Man, I'm going back to what I wish. I wish I'd had someone that could have grabbed me, bruh, King, we're gonna get through this together. That's what I'm trying to do as a Thrive coach. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna drop my link again, and I'm gonna sign off. So there it is for y'all on IG, and here it is for y'all over here on Facebook. Grab some time with me. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's see if I can help you, if you're personally struggling with some things, or if I can help you as you're watching somebody struggle through some things. I also want to say that my wife is available in these kinds of settings. The person I spoke to earlier today, they really didn't want to talk to me. The question was really for my wife, but she gets it. Listen, um, I'm not stopping this. God has saved me from this, for this. I've always been okay. Our church along the way has known, our church turned 18 in January. I've been very open about my mental health space and what was going on. I've been very transparent with that. But the whole bipolar piece, even though I was ready to be transparent about it and talk about it, God just had that thing on hold, on pause. And between my wife and I, there just wasn't any bearing of witness. Sometimes I want to talk about it. She said, I don't think now's the time. I knew she was right. Come back through it. Baby, I think, just don't feel right. It was her discernment. It was really even my submission to her. And don't think that I'm some beta male. I'm as alpha as you can get, but I'm also as biblical as you can get. And the Bible says, submit yourself one to another. And then it says, wives, submit yourself to your husband. There was a submission that was there. Looking back over it now, this space where I am now is because God was saving that for me to get stuff together, for me to move myself out of surviving into a space of thriving and knowing how to navigate life and the world. Y'all, still take medicine. Now, I'm way down in what I was taking, but there are just certain things that the chemistry in my brain have to have balanced out. And I understand that, understand why. Just because you're still dealing with something doesn't mean that you're supposed to go and pray harder. Absolutely not. What that means is that you need to get some help. And sometimes you need some help like me, that has been there, not on the other side, as a professional, but someone who's actually experienced them themselves. Tonight's been good. Thank y'all for letting me introduce you to not just me, but to many facets on next week. I don't know, what am I talking about next week? Where does mental illness come from? There we go. Where does mental illness come from? Every Monday night is Mental Health Mondays. That's what we're talking about. I'm going to pick a subject, even bring some scholasticism where appropriate, to help empower you to move along this journey. And then on Thursdays, we got Thrive Thursday. So we'll see y'all on Thursday. My wife and I both around some topic. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be good. All right. Peace. Holler at y'all later. Thank y'all for hanging out with your boy. Take care.